Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Cochio. I'm a JD Power account director who supports JD Power's relationship with many of the larger utilities in the east as well as the southeast. So I'm here to introduce the next session, which is a discussion with TECO Energy, who is a electric and gas utility headquartered in Tampa, Florida, as well as Avertra, who works with clients to simplify their customers' digital experience. So without further ado, please welcome the following folks. Bashir Bseirani, who is the CEO, CTO of Avertra. Amit Rastogi, who is Director of IT, Customer Experience at TECO Energy. And Amy Lester, who is Manager of Research and Strategy, TECO Energy. So.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Having fun so far? All right, hopefully we'll keep you all awake. Amy, please, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So good morning, everyone. So Amy Lester, Manager of Customer Research Strategy and Strategic Projects. Been with TECO just about 7 years. Previous to my role at TECO is previously in the academic world, so for about a decade. But started at TECO in the research area, have expanded over the years.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, everyone. Amit Rastogi. I'm Senior Director of IT for Tampa Electric for the customer line of business. All kinds of technology which powers up our customers' interaction. The IT side of it, I'm the kind of, the responsible leader on that. And I've been with TECO for about 4 years. Prior to that, worked with a lot of different big consulting firms across the globe, did like a lot of different CIS implementation and improvements. And we have been on a very exciting journey at TECO. For last 4 years, the things which we have been able to deliver it for our customer is like incredible. And hopefully we'll talk about it today and kind of, I'll bring some excitement to all of you.
Hey, I'm Bashir Bseirani. I'm the CEO and CTO of a small company called Avertra. We believe you don't need to be a large organization to have a big impact, right? We'd like to be the biggest little company in the world one day. We're really excited about being here. Myself, I come from a very data-oriented background. I've been in analytics and data science roles. I guess that's all of us. And more recently, I've been designing our digital experience platform, which we call My Customer. MI, we do pronounce it as My, so for those who see the slides. And that's been a very exciting journey to actually look at us as people, right? We're all citizens, we're all customers of some type of organization. We all have needs, and being able to take that, mixing, if anybody asks me what is Avertra, we're a group of like-minded people that take science, technology, empathy, and process engineering and bring it all together to improve people's lives, which is why our mission statement is simplify life. So I'm very excited to be here. Amy, I think you're going to introduce us of, the journey and who you all are.
Sure. So just a little background on TECO for those that are unfamiliar. So we're headquartered in Tampa. We represent both the Tampa electric side of things and then also People's Gas. So we represent both electric and gas customers. We have about 840,000 electric customers and just shy of 500,000 gas customers. So very unique area. I know a lot of you guys were with us last year in Tampa for the JDP conference. So we have storms, lots of storms. You guys were there for Helene, and most of you probably didn't stay. And just a few short weeks later, we had Milton come right behind her. So a very active storm area of the country. So our response to storms and how we better inform our customers is crucial. We've experienced a lot of post-COVID growth as a lot of areas as well. We have a lot of new customers moving into our territories. We also have seasonal changes. So we have several universities. We have a major university in the Tampa area. So we have a lot of seasonal, besides the college students, also a lot of retirees as well. So a lot of seasonal fluctuations in our area. And then lastly, just the evolving community. So we do have, we're now at about 25% of non-English or second language speaking customers in our territory. So a very diverse area. And we, like I said, the electric side is based primarily in the Tampa area where people's gas is all over the state of Florida.
Kind of becomes complicated when thinking about building out an overall customer experience strategy, right? And you guys put in a lot of work behind that, right? Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, we did. So our first customer experience strategy we developed in 2017, and we've evolved it over the years. We have always had a 3-pillar strategy. Most recently, the 3 pillars are simplify, personalize, and partner with our customers. So simplify, what we're doing is really trying to get it right the first time. Make it easy for customers to interact with us. Make sure that everything that we're delivering is on time, is correct, is accurate. We're presenting the right information to customers when they need it. Personalizing every interaction, so making sure it's relevant to them and their experiences. So whether it's conducting research to identify, different pain points or tailoring journeys to different types of customers, everything we're doing is trying to personalize the experience for each and every customer. And then lastly is partnering, so making sure that customers are at the table with us. We bring them in, and you'll hear about a lot of the projects that we're presenting today, where we brought customers to have a seat at the table with us, making sure that they are part of every single thing we do. They're at the forefront. They're not just our customers, but they're our partners in this journey.
Yeah, another big partner that it was great working with you all and seeing this evolution of the strategy going from an idea to execution was the growth and the partnership between IT and the business. Amit, did you want to kind of explain on?
Yeah, and I think trust is a very important thing, right? It's a commodity which you need to earn every single day, whether you're doing it with your customers or your internal stakeholder. And that was the philosophy with which we started approaching that IT and business needs to have a trustworthy relationship to achieve the outcome which we are after, right? It's not about like IT team is doing this versus business doing that, kind of collapsing the boundaries and making it as one badgeless team after a problem to solve, right? And as we talk about different projects and all that, all hone in into the message like why trust is so important for not just the customers, but the internal employees as well, right? Because unless everyone is not bought into the idea and not standing behind what you're doing, I think you can create fancy products, but the adoption is going to be very delayed, right? Or you're going to have a lot of emotions coming into the conversation. So I think we have been on this journey for 4 years with a lot of exciting products and tools which we have implemented for internal users and the customers at the same time.
Yeah, one unique thing I'd say from our perspective when it comes to trust, being an outside vendor and a partner that's coming in and helping them execute their strategy, is actually it was very unique to see that we really had an equal seat at the table, right? They wanted to hear us. They wanted to hear where we disagreed with their strategy, where we thought there could be an improvement. And that was very unique for us. I mean, we've operated with many large utilities, but you could tell that this leadership team was taking it very seriously, right? And that's kind of what we saw trickle down into the rest of the organization, and it made things come together. Because we're going to talk about some very rapid paced projects shortly, which some of you might not even believe, but we really have the data and everything to prove what we're saying. And Amit said the most important word, right? Trust. It becomes at the center of everything. And I think that's a big theme as why all of you are here. I think you're all here trying to figure out better ways to have your customers and your employees trust you more as you provide a reliable service and moving from just being a commodity provider to a true partner, to a true product company towards your customers. You're not just selling them water, gas, electricity. You're actually selling them life, right? And then kind of taking that and bringing it all together. So Amy, I mean, as part of these pillars, how did you all go from strategy to now defining on what is going to help drive that trust, internal and external trust?
So looking at a lot of factors, we've been, as mentioned, we've been on a transformative journey for several years now. Really re-looking at how we deliver the customer experience to our customers. So, really taking a look at our JDP before. It's gonna keep happening. I'm just hoping my phone's on silent. Cree, if it goes off, please. Thank you. But really taking a look, honing in on those different JDP dimensions, making sure that we're really looking at every aspect of what we're delivering to the customer. So whether it's providing the right information to them, whether it's delivering new self-serve digital channels and options, whether it's improving, reliability and resiliency of our products, it was really looking across all of those areas and ensuring that all of the different new products, services we're delivering touches on each of these to the best of our ability, the best that we can, and ensuring that we're delivering something that customers trust in because we're delivering something, again, they had to see at the table. We're looking at from all angles. We're working with all of our different business and external stakeholders.
Your voice
and
of customer
partners.
program was a real big differentiator in this too, right? Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I love talking about our voice of the customer program. So we have a program where we are continuously interacting with our customers, which I know a lot of people do as far as transactional surveys, things like that. One of the great things that we have at TECO is we have our internal panels. So for all of these projects that you'll see that we present on today, we really tapped into those customer panels. We brought them alongside of us and had, they were in design sessions with us. They were included in focus groups, interviews, no matter what the segment customers we were focusing on. So we do have, this ability to reach out and work with these customers directly to build these programs.
So one of the first projects we're talking about to help drive that, you have your seasonality, your college students coming in and out, snowbirds coming in and out. So one of the projects that you all focused on was automating your start service. So let's take a little bit of a survey here. How many of you all actually have a fully automated, human agentless experience for your customers to start, transfer, and stop their service?
Yeah.
Low numbers, right? Because it's hard. It's very complicated, right? Especially when thinking about all the different permutations. I mean, how many total test cases and scenarios did we have to think of?
Yeah, I think I'll get to that part, but I think before we get there, we need to talk about how we got there, right? So I think a couple of years back, and probably you heard one of my colleagues talk about like a rough summer few years back when our call volumes were going out of control, right? The wait time in call center was killing us. And that really prompted our leadership to spin up a transformation team. And from the get-go of it, we were like, okay, we just don't want to do fancy stuff, right? We want to really look at our data in a very hard way to understand what do we want to do, right? And then the very first thing was very evident that the start service is one of the highest call volume for us. And prior to that, we had a very kind of, basic functionality on the web channel. Everyone was coming into the call center to start their service, right? And again, even if you submitted your request online, very low success rate, maybe 20%, 30%, 70% times, people were waiting to get a response for multiple days, right? So it goes back to that trust equation. That I submitted an application, now I got to wait for 3 days or 4 days or however long to get a response. Maybe I should just call in because I'll get a response right then and there, right? So that was the problem which we kind of identified early on that we needed to solve for. And we said like, okay, we are not going to do something super complicated or whatnot. We do understand that this is a complex transaction and things are going to require both sides of the equation, meaning customer and us as a utility company to come together, right? So from the forefront of it, we said, whatever this tool is going to be has to work for our call center agent as well as the customer at the same time, so that we do not lose any transaction in between, so that we do not lose any history on that transaction in between, right? And that was the mandate with which both IT, business, and Avertra as a vendor came together. And we said that, like, let's push the boundary, right? Let's try to simplify this. If we need to validate customers through credit agencies and whatnot, let's simplify that process. Maybe there is a prior balance on the account when customer left us. How do we deal with that, right? So we kind of went into this very fast pace of designing, where we brought in all the different teams, departments together, and started kind of, doing like a as is of how the process is and how we can transform it into whatever, right? And it took us about 90 days to get into a UAT cycle. And we are talking about a fully integrated system with backend SAP to search for the customer, to calculate security deposit, to do all the different things what it needs to do to kind of perform that, right? And the end goal was then and there with that transaction, customers should be able to get their account number, right? Because in some of the places, before they hand you the keys to your apartment, they expect you to have a contract account number or account number from your utility company, right? So that was one goal which we had, that we wanted to give them the most important thing at the end of that transaction to be able to provide it to whoever they needed to provide to, right? And then because of the complexity, coming back to Bashir's question, we had almost 600 plus scenarios which team needed to test during the UAT cycle. Because again, start service is one of those first interactions somebody is having with a utility company when they move in your service territory, right? So if they had a bad experience, forget about it, like building that experience again, right?
So sticking with the trust and what I'm saying, you want to talk about how TECO rolled this out to ensure that, hey, if we're putting something out there in front of our customer base, because we ended up deploying 2 applications. One for the call center, so when the agent is actually receiving the call, they're actually in the same system that the customers are working with, so it automates the entire flow, and the agents are really fingers as representing the customer's mouth. But in terms of the rollout to ensure trust, actually TECO did a very creative way on how to roll it out to ensure that if there are problems, let's find them in the lowest risk possible. Did you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yep. So absolutely. So because as mentioned, this was both a tool for our contact center agents as well as customers. So there was this piece where the customer service agents were inputting into the same tool as the customers were, or similar as the customers were seeing online. So rolling this out, as Bashir mentioned, our lowest risk audience were those customer service reps because they had other tools in place. If something was to not be working as intended, or if something needed to be adjusted, we could quickly pivot, make some changes before we actually rolled that out to the entire customer base.
Yeah, so it took a while before the trust was established to sunset the existing application, to sunset the existing bot, and then to have this become the primary channel for customers to be able to come through. And now the next logical extension for this is Amit is running an AWS transformation for their IVR, and they want to start driving start and stop service through the IVR as well too. The beauty of the framework that they've invested in is they're able to now just extend an API from our current start and service process into their IVR, so they don't have to rebuild it all in the IVR from scratch, and they can re-maximize their investment without having a super large implementation. It just becomes more testing and validation.
Absolutely. And maybe just to add to that, right? Even to earn that trust for our internal customer base, which is CSRs and all that, kind of bringing in them slowly into the mix. We had 25 users at the first go, and then they were kind of doing these transactions. People were monitoring it, and when it came to launching it for the customers as well, we would activate this new feature 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, just to kind of look at it how the transactions are coming, and had a dedicated team who was ensuring the completeness and the quality of transactions as well, right? So I think that helped us to build that trust with our internal stakeholder as well as the external stakeholders, right? And that became the philosophy for us for pretty much any and every project, right? We are gone past the point where we do full big bang go lives. We have kind of learned our lesson, and we are trying to kind of do it in a meaningful way by de-risking every project wherever possible, right? And that goes back to building that trust, learning from your users and customer, and keep innovating, keep kind of improving the application.
Yeah, a big part of trust now is going to the next big project.
Yeah, I was going to. Well,
go for it. No.
I was
Go
just going
for
to
it.
add on one thing as well. Speaking to the trust piece is the constant feedback that we receive from customers too. We had a pop-up survey we launched within the online portal to allow customers to present us feedback. And then we also conducted customer user testing after the go live, just to make sure that we were touching on every piece for the customers and ensuring that it was a product they could trust in. So, sorry.
Oh, no. Actually, if you want to then take them into the journey of the outage map.
Sure, yep. So Outage Map, again, as we mentioned, a lot of storms in our area, and the Outage Map, incredibly important for us, just ensuring that we have transparency to our customers. We heard through customer feedback for years how important the Outage Map information is. We know it's, one of the strong pillars of, what customers really want from their utility is information about the outages. It's just, that's one of the most important things to them. We heard over and over that customers wanted more information, they wanted more accurate information, they wanted the outage map to work at all times, they wanted new features. So, really looking at what the customer demands were and knowing that we had some gaps, we looked at implementing a new outage map product as well several years ago.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those projects which I am very, very proud of, right? Because sometimes adversities makes you really understand how bad it could go, right? And I remember like a storm Idalia or something like that, where our previous outage map, when it needed to perform because of a lot of different things, it just didn't work. One of the key lessons which we learned from that is customer behavior was changing faster than we can imagine, right? Suddenly we were seeing like 6x, 7x of volume coming onto our the web channel for customers to seek that critical information when they need it most. And we failed, right? For good like 72 hours, we had a lot of challenges with our map and whatnot. And we realized that this is not the way we want to operate. And literally from that point onwards, we started working on rebuilding the outage map, grounds up, going out of our data center into cloud so that we can scale as much as we need to scale, having a dedicated team across the globe to support that, right? Which we could not, because again, those who have lived in Florida and have gone through some of these storms, it's a very emotional stage. You are dealing with your people, right? Your home, you're dealing with your customers, and you want to provide that information to your customers in the most efficient way. And then forget about like, the regulatory pressure, the politics and the media and all that, who is like kind of looking at your website and all that to gain that information to kind of provide it to broader audience, right? So I think in 90 days, we were able to go from the idea to kind of being in a state where we were able to test the system with like what, maybe 6x of the volume which we saw during the previous incident, right? And last year was very incredible for us from that context in the state of Florida. 3 back-to-back major hurricanes rolled through. And I think Milton was once in a 100-year kind of an event. During that time, we hit like 500 million impressions on our outage map without any latency. From a technical milestone perspective, I could not be more proud than anything, right? Like, if you look at it like, maybe the Google hits are about in that same range, and we were able to sustain like 500 million impression on the map without any problem.
Yeah, the key was preparation, right?
Yeah.
So knowing this, I still remember when the previous vendor's outage map fell, Amit calls me and he's like, hey, how fast can you get me an outage map? And I was like, well, how much time do I have? I'm like, a couple months, weeks. He goes, no, you have hours. I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. I'm like, I can't promise you that it's going to be 100% of the functionality, but at least we can represent where the outages are and give information. Within 19 hours, we had integration done with their outage. We were getting batch files from their outage management system. They kept us on standby. We completed our first actual production-ready version of it in 72 hours. They left us on the side, and they're like, okay, you're just an insurance policy for now. But then when they realized the power of our platform and how fast we could iterate, then they became a discussion of we becoming the permanent outage map for Tampa Electric. And then that started the cycle of having constant multi-year tests, right? So we actually went ahead and we started simulating what would happen if 100% of the Tampa Electric customer base is out. How would the outage map look? How will it perform? How can you zoom in? We realized errors in our design. We realized how polygons started actually layering on top of each other, and it created a much more complicated experience. So then we started iterating. How do we create new rules, create a new storm mode where it stops people from zooming in into certain levels to ensure performance is always there? So it was a very great set of brainstorming sessions with a partner that's not coming and saying, hey, you know what, vendor, you should come up with all the answers. It's no, let's talk about this together and say, okay, we believe this should work, let's test it out, let's see if it happens, and everything became data-driven. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't some leader saying, I want this feature and it must go live. No, let's see if it'll work, let's test it out, and if it doesn't, on to the next one. Right? So working with a partner like that just makes my job a lot easier too. Right? Because they're wanting to come to the table and say, look, we have opinions as well too. This is my customer at the end of the day, right? It's their customer and we are now part of their team supporting them with their customer. And that's the real great thing about this partnership.
And I think that speaks to collective power, right? So anytime we have a named storm or something like that, there is a playbook which we go after, which means that we are going to test this damn thing as if, it's going to break, right? And then the idea is trust but validate.
Absolutely.
If it is not, then fix it, right? And every year we go through storms, we look at the metrics, we look at the data, we look at all the different things, and we'll spin up a separate team to kind of look at it. What do we need to do to get ready for the next year, right? And that's what we call as hardening project for Outage Map. And that has consistently added more features, more resiliency to the platform and all that. And what I'm very proud of it is last year when we were going through this whole storm, Milton and all that, there was a need for business to have wire down functionality because we were getting so many calls for wire down requests. And I think we built that in 2 days or something, and it was live on our website saying that, okay, if you want to submit your kind of, wire down request, you can do it. Again, not a lot of integration.
So while he makes it sound so gentle, now I'm going to tell you my perspective. We're sitting, so as soon as we go into storm mode, we have 24/7, follow the sun. I have teams in Colombia, Jordan, India, UAE, all monitoring their outage maps, right? Making sure the application performance are fit. We're caching things in real time. We're making sure this thing stays up. And then I get a call that says, could you add a feature during the storm? And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? I'm like, okay, I mean, is this important? They're like, yeah, for down power lines. There's floods everywhere. And I was like, oh, wow, you're talking about someone could die if this isn't on there? And we can now put places for people to not go. So I rounded up the team. I'm like, look, we got to figure out how to do this. This is a very important feature. We shouldn't care about what's happening. So we created a separate squad to just focus on building out this feature. And then we were able to release it. TECO, while in the middle of dealing with all the mess that they were testing. They're giving us feedback. They didn't just throw it at us and say, here, go away. No, like, hey, you know what? If we're going to make you all do this extra work, we're going to be part of it with you too.
Yeah.
And it was great, but it wasn't easy. This is a science, right? And collaboration is a science. Yeah. And making sure that you can manage stakeholder expectations is a science. And that's a big part of partnership.
Yeah, and then this was our Airbnb moment, right? Like we were able to collect the data. We had a lot of people behind the scene to deal with those requests and pass it on to whoever they need to pass it on, right? But at least we have a new intake process, right? That was the bare minimum which we could come up with in 48 hours. And then this year, that feature is all integrated with all the operations and other teams being part of that conversation to know how they are going to get the wire down request and not, right? So I think that just speaks to the mindset of what Amy and her team does from a customer research and what customers are wanting, and then IT business and vendors coming together to deliver something powerful, meaningful, which can have a bigger impact on our customer base, right? So that's how I feel like that's the easiest way to earn trust and continue to improve.
So we are over. Can we keep going? We got like 2 more slides left. Or do you guys want us to stop? All right.
Okay.
The crowd has spoken. All right. So you all heard Tampa's growing, right? People are moving out. Cost of living made a lot of sense. Great weather. So during COVID, lots of folks are going in. What does that mean? New construction, right? So Amy, do you want to kind of introduce that problem statement?
Yep. So new construction. huge problem for us in that builders, developers, electricians, everybody wants updates. And we did not have a way to provide those updates to our customers other than them picking up the phone and calling us. We had a very outdated online form, maybe you'd call it. Maybe not a smart form, but it was not self-explanatory. The customers read the updates if they were in there, didn't understand what they meant, so they were still picking up the phone and calling us. This was a very heavy transaction of needing to speak with somebody. So, we did a lot of research with our builders, with our electricians. We did interviews. We did focus groups with these customers to really understand what do they need in this new portal? What kinds of information are they looking for? How can they get the information access to things quicker? So that's really what drove a lot of the start of this, was just a big problem around information and how they were getting it.
Yeah, and I think this was one of those, again, this was happening when we were working on 20 other different things, right? This was like one of those years when we had so much going on, and this was just one more request, which was like, came from the business saying that, can we do something about it? We were like, okay, we'll try, right? And I think within 6 months, we had the first product launch for our small user group. Again, the same philosophy, don't release it to everyone at the same time. Bring in some key and critical participant, learn from their experience, improve it and whatnot, right? And since then, we have been on a journey on this one too. Last year, I think there was a request from business saying that, hey, can you guys think about automating the technical master data creation, right? All the premises stuff and all that, because it's taking too long for our team to complete it, right? And we were like, sure. And the integration and all that was built in like maybe again 3 months or something. And since then, I think that whole process has been seamless, and we are continuing to find more and more opportunities to add to this, right? So that again speaks like you don't have to solve the problem in the first go. Try to concentrate on what matters, learn from that experience, and continue to evolve and improve. Right?
Yeah, we keep now giving the users more time to actually perform strategic actions instead of, okay, new construction process comes in, taking the request, I see it, I read the documents, everything's great. I'm not going to go into another system and create a work order. Then I'm going to go manually monitor, make sure everything's there. Then once it happens and everything's great, I'm going to go into my CIS or my GIS and create the actual coordinates and put the address information. I mean, that's administrative work that takes a lot of time and needs a lot of validation as well too, right? But these are teams that are capable to do more than just data entry, right? And that was a big part of the philosophy. How do we start empowering our teams to be at the table, helping us with the change? And that's one thing that was great. So now these teams are saving tons of hours on a monthly basis. And then once we deployed the move-in, right, this team came back and said, well, hey, wait a second. Can we add move-in also as the final step here so the builders can just get moved in when they finish everything, but it gets triggered at the TECO side. So we deployed move-in. How long did that take us, Monica? 2 months? To extend it now to the builder group as well too. Mainly lots of testing, and now, so technical master data, GIS coordinates, and move-ins are done part of the new construction process, right? So it's all fully integrated and into one customer data platform that they're developing, one Qualtrics platform where all the feedback is coming to as well too. So now TECO's created this fabric where they're really understanding different personas, different journeys, and different problems that they're starting to address as they keep going forward through this experience.
Exactly.
And the last project we had, which is pretty cool, was the concept of a digital twin of the bill, right? And which TECO called the interactive bill. So, I mean, I guess you want to introduce that one.
Sure, absolutely. So several years ago, I think 3 now, we decided that it was time to redesign our paper bill, but at the same time, we really want to drive people self-service. So how do we do that? How do we streamline the paper bill, but give more of those features, more of those pieces, those information sources that customers were looking for in a digital fashion? So that was really what prompted the interactive bill. This was a great example of just using customers throughout the entire journey, customers being brought in during the design sessions, during every single aspect of this project, doing interviews, focus groups, afterwards doing user testing, follow-up surveys. I mean, every research methodology I think you can think of, A/B testing, we were throwing at this project but really trying to get a sense of delivering something that customers are excited to use. The utilization of this tool has been fantastic, but just something, really tying into what customers are looking for and delivering a product that's of value.
So our time's up,
Yeah.
right? It's
We
been,
can go as long as you guys want,
I can
but
go-
we appreciate that.
what is it? One question.
Okay.
All right, so we'll stop here. My last plug, right? All this, has been delivered through our My Customer platform, right? So I'll just give my 5-second plug here. If you have any questions about it, I'll actually take those afterwards. I'd like kind of to focus now on the Q&A. So please, if there's one question that anybody would like to ask, I don't know how to pick one if more than one person raised their hand, but
Thank you so much, Amy and Bashir and Amit, for sharing your strategies. And I love what you guys have done here with the customer experience. So can you please share any strategies for securing resources and budget for initiatives like this? Because the concepts are very well received throughout the organization, but when it comes to the economics of it, right?
Yeah.
There's always some obstacles. So I'd love to hear what you guys have done.
Yeah, so I think, Amy, so again, as with any other utility company, that whole O&M, capital, long-term forecast, we have exactly all those same constraints, right? But our business have done an incredible job of kind of, keeping some money for innovation and how we want to approach it, right? So that's kind of a seed money for us, right? And then second, we try to align it with some of the strategic elements. For example, the interactive bill, how it came along was our paper bill technology was outdated. We needed to do something about it, right, in terms of upgrades and all that. And our paper bill needed some redesign, right? So we clubbed the paper bill and the interactive bill together. And again, we went through an RFP to select My Customer as the platform. We could have made it 10 times bigger by saying that, hey, we are going to replace the whole authenticated user experience. And instead, we said that we are going to do it in small increments. We are going to capture the value, prove the value, and then move to the next great idea, right? And that's how the interactive bill really paid for a lot of infrastructure build originally. And then after that, these new apps, whether it is My Move or new construction or all that, right? The infrastructure layer was built, and now we are just adding more and more personas and apps onto that, right? And now that has been baked into our long-term forecast cycle that like this year we are going to concentrate on this based on what research is saying. Next year we are going to concentrate on something else, right? And that's where the value equation comes to life. And Melissa, Amy, and team has done really, really great on that, as well as our leaders have supported us very well.
Thank you so much.
thank you, everybody.